everybody! Welcome to my channel. Thank you for watching this video. If you like it, please like and subscribe. And in this video, we'll be putting together my very first owl. So if you want to know how to put it together, please keep watching. To begin this owl, we'll be putting together these 4 pieces, and they actually layer on top of each other, like this. And we'll be appliquing one at a time, and we'll add the beads as we go. So I'm just showing you what it looks like before I sew it on. To begin, we'll be sequining and beading this first piece, and you need to take your needle and thread and knot the end. And I usually use 2 strands of thread, and you grab a sequin first and then a bead, and make sure the sequin is facing the right way. It has a little bit of a lip, kind of like a saucer, so make sure that it's face up with the flat side down so that the bead sits right in the middle. And I usually go through the bead at least twice to make it secure. For me personally, it's good to have some kind of a visual aid to help, especially with these kind of kits that only come with written instructions. And the written instructions are pretty clear, but there's some things that like, for example, the beading. It only asks for 1 strand of thread, and I actually double it because I've had my threads break in the middle of trying to bead something, so it's just good to have that extra reinforcement because it takes, it takes a lot of work to bead and sequin your pieces, and you don't want to mess up your work, so I always reinforce each of my beads and sequins with double the thread. So after my cluster of beads and sequins is finished, I always go to the back and I double knot my work. That way you know that it's secure, and I always hide the little tail in the felt and then trim it. Now that we've finished beading our piece, we're going to applique it, and it's a simple applique stitch, or whip stitch as some people call it, and it's just the stitch that you use to bind the 2 felt pieces together. So the key is to make sure that your stitches are equal in width, so the distance between each stitch needs to be very consistent, and that takes some practice. And if you're doing one of these projects, you'll get the hang of it rather quickly because you're doing a ton of appliquing and you're using this stitch very often. So you'll get the hang of it. I remember when I started my very first project, I was terrible at this stitch because my stitches were always just different lengths between each stitch, and it was just blah. But it's a lot better now. For this 3rd piece of felt, we'll be using the purple thread. Sorry about the lighting, but that's the purple. And every time you switch felts, you always change the thread color. So whatever felt you're working on top, make sure you use that color. And that's just the back of the view. And look how consistent my stitches are. They've come a long way since I started making these. So we're gonna add the 4th piece to it, and the 4th piece is the green. So I just went ahead and added it because it's literally wash, rinse, repeat. And there's the back again. And now we're going to work on the owl head. And the owl head is number 26 on the yellow felt. I'd like to give a small shout out to one of my subscribers, Sharon Roth. She asked me if I could show her give her any tips on how to do the outline stitch on a scalloped line. And here is how you do it. So this is for you, Sharon. So when you're doing an outline stitch and you come across a scallop, this is technically a huge scallop, but it's a scallop nonetheless. When you get to the end, make sure you end it like you would at the end of a line. And so I'm just going to stick my needle like I'm going to end and knot, but I'm not. So I'm actually going to come back up towards the back into a little bit of a different spot, and I'm going to start this 2nd scallop here. Just make sure you don't come up in this exact same spot you ended. And you're basically going to turn your work a little bit so you can maneuver and start the outline stitch like you were going to start over. So that's how I do it, and it looks great when it's finished. And it just doesn't look like you stopped at all, even though technically you did stop the stitch. but when it's done, it looks like a scallop. Here is the owl head completely beaded and embroidered. And I just love this yellow color. It's so bright. I love it. We're going to attach this to the body with the yellow thread. And this is the front of the owl, and we'll be looking at the eyes next. And if you haven't seen it yet, I did do a tutorial on how to do the iris for the owl. I will link it down below if you haven't seen it. It's my satin stitch. And I will just show you the pieces that go together for one eye, and you just repeat it for the second eye. And there's the iris that I did the satin stitch for. And just applique those together. Make sure you're matching the thread. And you do it for both eyes, and you attach it onto the owl head. Look how cute this owl is! Oh my gosh. He's so cute. The beak is fairly simple. The cutouts have just 2 pieces of orange for the beak, and you stuff it with the polyfiber and you use the applique stitch to put it on with just a few stitches. And here's what the beak looks like on, and I only used a couple stitches. I used 1 or 2 stitches on the top, and then I used a couple stitches on the bottom. Here's the backing that we're going to be putting on, and we're going to be stuffing our owl next. So before I start stuffing, I want to show you that I used the yellow thread for the top of the head, and I will be changing colors as the colors change on top, and I will be trimming this a little bit because the backing is a little bit bigger than the front, which is a good thing. You want that, so you have a chance to size it how you need. And this is what my cute little owl looks like, completely stuffed and appliqued. And then I'll show you the stitches. So I use green on the green, purple on the purple, green, purple. It just looks so much cleaner that way, to do it that way. And I didn't stuff it a lot. I just stuffed it enough to give it some type of body, because I didn't want it to be flat, but I did want it to have some type of body to him. So we're going to cut out the wings, and the wings are going to be blue. And I'm going to do this off camera because it's just the same. You're beading and then doing the outline stitch for all of the pieces. And you're doing 2 wings, and I did the little feet because the little feet is kind of like the beak. It's just 2 pieces of the same color, just stuff them and applique them together. So when you're doing a wing, this is the setup. So here's the main wing that I finished. Let me get that off here real quick, the little feet. And here's the wing, the front and the back. And the 41 goes on top first, and then the 42 goes on top of the 41. And then the exact same thing goes for each. So here's what it looks like with those pieces on. You can see my stitches. Here's the back. And we'll be adding the backing to this wing, and we'll be adding some stuffing to it also. Here's one of the wings, and you can see I didn't stuff it a ton. I wanted it to be a little bit flatter because, you know, owls' wings aren't fluffy to begin with. So when you applique them, here's my finished owl, here's the feet, and there's little circles on the bottom for the feet. And I didn't applique it in the back, but I did start at the kind of the shoulder, and I appliqued it kind of along the front, along the lines. Just a couple of stitches, and there you go. And that is the first owl completely finished. And in my next video, we'll be starting the second owl. So please look out for that. And if you haven't already, please like and subscribe. And if you like my videos, please leave a comment down below with any questions that you have. I love answering those questions. I decided to take the advantage and film in my hallway while the kids play outside. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I have no makeup on. That's right. I'm going makeupless, gorgeous and crazy hair, mom hair. And comfy clothes, because yeah, comfy clothes, we live in them, no shame. I also wanted to take this moment to announce that I am officially a Bucilla model stitcher. I'm super excited. I'm actually working on my first project with them, and shout out to Plaid Crafts. Love you guys. I'll tag you in this video. Hopefully you'll see it. That'd be kind of fun. So yeah, I'm doing that on the side, so I'm extra busy with being a full-time mom and doing YouTube videos on the side, as well as Bucilla secret projects on the side too. So I can't share what I'm doing, but I am doing that, and I'm really excited to work with them. So also follow me on Instagram because I post there every time I post a video. I always post like a sneak peek footage of my next tutorial. So if you are interested in that, there's a link on my page for Instagram as well as in the description box. I also have a Pinterest that you can follow. It's also in the description box, and any other materials that I use, so check those out. And I hope to see you guys next time. Bye! Just waiting for kids to be quiet. They're playing outside. I am going no makeup list. Wait. And that is what the first owl is looking... Kids. And that is what that first